Hi, welcome to STERIS Direct from INTERPHEX, broadcasting from booth 3121. This is Matt Hofacre, and we're pleased to be joined by Denise Ebenhoech, Regional Head of Advanced Robotic Applications at KUKA Robotics, and she's going to tell us more about robotics in the laboratory environment. So welcome, Denise.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. So Denise, we're hearing a lot about automation and Industry 4.0 in the pharmaceutical and research applications. How do you see robotics and automation fitting into this space?
I think specifically with the robotics that's coming out now, so having, mobile robots or having robots that are able to work around humans will open a lot of opportunities to go into environments like research or, where people are working more than it would be able to do before. Because before, you had these robots, you had to put it behind a safety fence. I mean, not that this doesn't add value, but I think with having more flexible solutions now, I think that will be a huge step forward to automate laboratories or, research environments.
So one of the things you talk about, or I read in your synopsis, was you talk about collaborative robots. So when you're talking about these collaborative robots, is that working with the people and interacting with the people?
So that's actually a good question. So in general, talking about collaborative robots is about how do robots and human work together. But it's more about the robot itself. It's always about the whole application setup, because you can have a robot which in itself might be safe, but if you put a knife in front of attach a knife to the robot, then it's nice that the robot might stop if you touch it, but the knife will still be a knife, right?
Right.
And so there are some robots that, are easier to be used as a collaborative robot working together with humans, but you can also have standard robots working together with humans, which is often done with, you have additional safety sensors, for example. So if a human will come closer to a robot, the robot will stop. So there will still be collaborative level, right? But it's kind of, they are decoupled in their work, right? The robot is doing its own thing, and if someone comes nearer for safety reasons, the robot will stop. And then you have a spectrum kind of from applications like that, where it's just, I want to make people safe, but I don't want to have a safety fence, to the stage where actually a robot and a human might work together. That's then a different stage of collaboration.
So what would these robots be doing in the lab space, that a human would normally perform? Like, what are some of the top tasks these robots can really do?
So what was really interesting for me to look into these applications that they are now looking into to be automated in a lab, coming from a robotics environment where you assemble whole cars using robots,
right?
Where you do welding and putting together everything. In a lab environment, it might be already helpful to have doing simple tasks like only doing let's say you have a bunch of blood samples, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And you have to, so the laboratory personnel have to open a box and then to just sort by color these samples so that they can be processed later, right?
Right. Okay.
So, and you would think, is that really worth to be automated? And it seems it is, because you have staffers getting, you want to have laboratory personnel do other things that just sort blood samples, right? So you can have a solution for that. So interesting enough, it's easy tasks like opening a lid or just putting things from A to B that sometimes really helps within the laboratory to do things.
Okay. And have you seen like the robots? Like I know when people work with stuff, people make mistakes. Are the robots better at those types of tasks than people are in general?
I think the big thing is that if you put a robot into something, you really have to think about how to do it, because the thing that robots cannot do is do their own thinking.
Right.
So
You have to tell it.
you have to tell it.
Yeah.
So you really have to think about, okay, what the robot will not do is mix up if it's set up. So if you have to sort something by color, it will always pick the right color because the sensor will identify the color.
Okay.
The robot will not make a mistake. A human, after 10 hours sorting colors, makes a blue with a green. That will not happen.
I
with
would
a
do
robot.
that. I get tired.
Yes.
It's monotonous, right? You're doing this over and over and over. The robot doesn't care, right? It just does what you tell it to do no matter what.
Exactly.
It never gets tired, never has those things. What are some of the limitations, though, with using robotics in these labs? Because it sounds like they can do a lot of these, simple tasks, but what are some things like you wouldn't consider them doing?
I mean, sometimes it's just space, right? Even though with having, now smaller robots and robots on platforms. And then again, sometimes because for us as a human, it's super normal to do a lot of things with our eyes, our ears, with our fingers we don't think about. So we have more than one sensors in our human body we use. Identify things, putting things, identifying if something goes wrong. These are a lot of things we do automatically.
Right.
And so sometimes you might be able to automate a process, but it might have you to add so many sensors and so many additional things and finding the right process and sometimes it would be too much to put into this automation solution instead of just using a human being.
So there's some limitations to the amount of inputs maybe the robot can have. I mean, I guess you could program a lot of things into it.
You can do a lot. Yeah, you can do.
But at
nearly
some point,
everything.
there's like a diminishing return almost, right?
Yeah, and exactly. And then it's, for example, if you would have if you're thinking about a mobile solution, and you cannot find a setup that the mobile can work quietly, even though it's safe because it will stop. But if you have too much traffic going on, so that's what I mean with space. Because of safety, the robot will stop all the time, so we'll never get your task done.
Yeah, I got one of those Roombas at home that vacuums my floor.
And you could chase
right.
it, right?
Right, yeah, and I'll be in the kitchen, it'll run in my leg, and, it'll think, oh, I went there, and it turns around. But that's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the robot will stop before it hit you, right? But it will stop all the time because it doesn't want to hit you.
So it's not really effective in that
But
regard.
but that's often also easily solved because you just find a right spot and set up, for the robot.
So you kind of optimize the environment for the robot in a way.
To some degree, yes.
Okay.
So
good. Okay. So what do you think's next for robotics in the lab area? Like, what excites you about using these in this space?
So we have some application and that where the mobile robot is building molecules in the UK in a lab, connecting different machines. So now it's not about replacing workers or something, right? It's really about, you usually have researchers with a PhD or whatever, and they have to build these molecules using these different machines.
Okay.
And then after that you have a result. This is the molecule, but it's not the, I want to optimize it so that you have to change the recipe a little bit.
Okay.
And then the person would have to go again and do it, and again and do it, and again and do it. And now the robot is doing it. So people can actually do way more valuable work, right, than the worker can. The people can do the valuable work, and the robot is doing the stupid eye-connected machines.
Okay.
What I'm looking forward to right now, all the machines and devices, and this is changing right now, but it's still that all the devices are designed for humans. right?
Right, yeah.
So opening, again, things we as humans don't think about, because for us, of course, if I have to open a door, I just open a door.
Yep.
If you think about a robot, you might want to have an automatic opening door. I mean,
Right.
we have a robot on top, so we can use the robot to open and close the door, but if you're looking forward, you might want to have this automated. And then having a robot which is already kind of connected to by software, then using and connecting different softwares and databases, talking about AI and all this will really improve than having robots in a lab environment.
So can they learn? Is it to the point where they can actually learn to do a task
At some point they will.
Okay.
I just think that the hype is sometimes, bigger than, and then it will take a little bit
Right.
longer than these really nice, young, enthusiastic
Right.
people think, oh, we're doing everything AI software, and in 2 years everything will be, maybe it's not 2 years. So, but yes, I think that will
Okay.
be amazing.
Excellent. So you work in the field of robotics. What's the kind of the most interesting thing you've able to see a robot do, just in general? Not even in the lab, just wherever.
I mean, I really enjoy, robots, only even standing, so I started robotics 13 years ago, and I started in the automotive field.
Okay.
And standing at a factory plant, so specifically body shop, so where this car manufacturing starts, and you stand there and there are no people anymore, and then there are all these robots working. This in itself, it doesn't stop. It's just amazing to watch. That's not a crazy thing, but that's just amazing to watch. And then now, with being responsible for the mobile robots, that's now cross-industry. And sometimes, what people think they might do or not. So like jewelry production, or I flew to Singapore to meet with a catering company that do the meals in a plane. So
Oh, wow.
I was, I enter spaces you're usually not entering.
Right.
So, and then it never happened because it was not the right mobile robot for what they want to do. But, people have a lot of ideas right now with these new types of robots and technologies that are just, cross-industry, and where you would not expect. I would never have expected a catering company asking me for, your robot, can it, put together the salad and the tomatoes and
Wow. Yeah, that
and
was.
that.
I don't know. Maybe we're heading that way.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Just wasn't the time yet.
Just in closing, anything else at the show that you've seen that's been really interesting, or any observations you've had?
I think what was really, so I walked the show since 10 a.m. and now it's 3 p.m.-ish, right? So,
Right.
And I had just so many wonderful conversations with people today. Business related, but also non-business related. So it's just everybody is really back together, even with mask or whatever. So it was just nice to talk to all these people, and I had wonderful conversations.
Yeah, that's great. I'm with you. I like talking to live people. I know we've been on a lot of Teams, Zoom, whatever
Right.
you want to call meetings, so it's nice to get back together. Well, thank you, Denise, for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and have a great rest of the show.
Thank you. It was really nice being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.